good vibes only on the holiday edition of the Chirp Podcast. Be just mean to do anything else. I've got my list of those have been nice. I'm going to break them into 3 categories this year, and you might be a little offended where your team ends up, but I've got reasoning and backup for everything. Plus, the Winter Classic provides a foundation for one of the most wholesome conversations we've ever had on the Chirp Podcast. Vegas Golden Knights defenseman Zach Whitecloud joins us on the outdoor rink, life in the NHL, and growing up in the best place a kid ever could. It's the Chirp Podcast with Darren Millard.
Boys, I'm Mike today. Just let everyone know, don't say anything stupid.
Heads up! Oh, how'd that feel, old man? That's a disgrace! That's a disgrace! What a joke!
Hit him, light him up. Yeah, nice hit. That's solid.
I know it's not officially the halfway point of the National Hockey League campaign, but the holidays do provide a natural foundation and opening for reflection, and that's what we'll do, but we'll keep it positive. Coming up after my conversation with Zach Whitecloud, the list of teams that have answered expectations, which I think is the hardest thing to do in the National Hockey League. You're projected to be at a certain point in your development as a franchise. Can you meet that and continue on towards maybe contending for a title or getting into the race for a playoff spot? They're very different, but expectations are all the same. Also look at clubs that are ahead of schedule, and then there's those that are just flat out surprising this year. I want to talk about the Winter Classic, though, and that is the angle that we're taking with today's guest in Zach Whitecloud. The Winter Classic will involve a couple of first-timers this year in Vegas against Seattle. The Kraken will host. They really need a boost to get back into the playoff picture in the Pacific Division. And then there's the Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights, who haven't missed a beat coming off their first title and have been incredibly efficient. But with two of the most recent teams in the National Hockey League, franchises 31 and 32, it may feel a little different this year, with not a lot of history involved with these teams. But in the case of Golden Knights defenseman Zach Whitecloud, he's got more than enough to spread around for everybody to use. Zach is a Brandon, Manitoba product. He's born, he's raised, he's developed in that city. It's also my hometown as well, and despite being a little bit older than Zach, we do have a lot of the shared experiences that you're going to hear about as we have a bit of a trip down memory lane for both of us. And I think it's important to note, though, Zach Whitecloud is not in the National Hockey League by way of being a phenom. He just has a beautiful, wonderful passion for the game, one that was cultivated perfectly suited because of the Winter Classic on the outdoor rink. It's incredible what he learned, how much time he put in outside, skating at community rinks during the cold of a Manitoba winter, and then eventually put himself in a position where he could get a scholarship and then a professional contract and now a Stanley Cup championship. But there's so much that goes into his journey and his love for this game. I hope you enjoy Zach Whitecloud on The Chirp with Darren Millard. From when you were like 15 years old, what's the most surprising thing about playing in the NHL that you didn't know would be part of your world?
Oh man, I think there's a lot of aspects. I think the people you meet. I think first of all, I mean even when I was going through, I think the college process, just kind of the people you meet throughout the journey. I think getting an agent was one of the first steps. I think where it was like things kind of started to get real a little bit.
How'd you pick an agent?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I didn't really pick. I just I kind of got approached by Dean, my agent now. And
great guy.
Great, incredible human being. Him and his team have taken care of me, but Dean and Matt and Eustace and those guys specifically, they've looked after me and taken good care of me. Obviously, having not known kind of what the process is like, because it's a whole different world, right? When I was, to your question, when I was 15, I mean, none of this, or even college, was remotely on our radar whatsoever. And to me, that's the cool part too, is just how, not naive, but just how fast everything kind of came in our direction. Because it was, getting cut from AAA and at 15 and then playing high school, where we had I think 10 or 11, 12 guys on our roster, right? And then all your friends are playing AAA and traveling and all that stuff. And then the next year getting cut from Brandon again, going to play AAA in Central Plains, and then finally making my hometown AAA team my last year. And then getting protected by Verdun, that was another big step in my career where it was like we never even thought that was going to be a thing. And then from Verdun to Bemidji, that was never on our radar. And then it just, again, it just keeps snowballing to sitting here talking with you, right? So there's a lot of aspects that I could go over that surprise you. Agents, the people you meet, flying on the planes, the food, the hockey, Stanley Cup, all that sort of stuff. It's like that was never supposed to happen, right? And I think so for everything, just from playing junior pretty much on out, has been a bonus. And for me, I think that's why I still have the appreciation for the game, and I'm so grateful for what I'm able to do, is because none of it was even supposed to happen. So I think, I was never the first round draft pick. I was never a WHL draft pick. I was never a big college free agent. I was never anything like that. So I think it gave me an extra sense of appreciation, but it also gave me the opportunity to just play hockey and just whatever happens, happens. If I was done after college and I was going to work, that's fine.
What were you going to do?
I don't really know. I think that's kind of how I've always been. I think I've just kind of, had fun with whatever's going on, whether it's hockey or, work in the summer, whatever it was. And I didn't really have a passion for anything. I just loved hockey. So after that, to be honest, probably like a firefighter or something where I'm physically working, an office. Not that it's a bad thing, but it just isn't for me. That's not, what I had envisioned for myself. Even farming could have been something with cattle or anything like that. I had a job in junior where I realized I had a passion for working outside and being with the animals and stuff like that. So probably something along those lines.
I think you're the only person that's ever played Manitoba high school hockey that made the National Hockey League.
So I actually think there is one other person.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
I can't remember. The guy that played for Calgary.
I gotta look that up.
From
then.
Brandon.
Okay.
Do you want me to look it up right now?
Look it up.
He played for the Hitmen, and he played for Crocus.
Well, that's a fine institution.
Yes.
I'm not surprised that somebody would come from Crocus and end up at the high level.
If anyone from Brandon's listening, Vincent Massey's way better. What is his name?
Because, I love that high school hockey exists. My family is part of it on the back end, but it wasn't like AAA. It wasn't AA. It wasn't junior. And you managed to navigate that route.
Yeah, and I think...
But Graham Garden was your coach.
Yeah, so Graham Garden was my coach. He coached me in Pee Wee.
Oh, he did.
So actually, funny enough that you bring that up, my head coach in high school for the Vikings was Brad Twardick.
Oh, okay.
You know that name?
Yeah.
So he was at the game last night.
Was he?
Yeah. I think he brought his family down, or maybe his son, and they watched the football game, hockey game, and then maybe went to a show or something.
It's a pretty good triple play.
Yeah. So
That's
just kind of cool that you brought that up, because then it just kind of clicked in my brain. He had texted me after the game, just told me it was a good game, and I played well and stuff like that. And he said it was just kind of cool because I don't know if he's ever seen me play live, right? So I obviously on TV and stuff, but it's kind of it's probably a weird thing, right? Having coached at the high school level, where to be not rude about it, but not when I was there, I didn't expect
No,
to,
it's not
to
a
go
path- it's
go
not
play
a path,
AAA
right?
or anything.
Yeah.
It's not your typical path where like, hey, this is a potential NHLer someday. Like, and I don't want to diminish people that go and play high school, right? Because
You're still playing.
yeah, I'm still playing. I was able to do it.
But they're still playing too, and it keeps people in the game. It's
Exactly. And I think so that was cool to get a text from him and have him say that it was cool to see you play again, because it's two totally different, not different people, still the same person, but just two, like, I don't know.
You're two worlds.
Yeah. It's just it's hard to describe. It's just cool.
How many people have your cell number?
I mean, probably a lot. I guess, yeah.
You're pretty easygoing. Like you're not one of those protective people. Like you are just who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a small town, right? So, well, not small. I mean, Brandon, but played junior in a small town where you kind of like, you say hi to people on the street and hold the door open for people, ask people how their days are going, whether you know them or not. So I think that's just kind of ingrained in me, and it's just, just trying to be a good person, right? So, yeah, probably a lot of people. I am self-admittedly, I am bad at responding and texting. I am really bad at that. So I think that might be a New Year's resolution.
Are you still getting back to people over the Stanley? Because you must have got swamped.
No,
with the Stanley Cup.
so that's the thing, right? When big things happen like that, it took probably maybe like 5th or 6th day where I finally like sat down, because sleep was at a minimum, obviously, as everyone else was.
Yeah.
But took a full pretty much like afternoon into the evening just to like sit down and just like go through it and respond to people, right? Because people take the time, right?
Yeah.
And I think it would be rude of me not to give that time back and just make sure that how much I appreciate them, whether I've spoken to them in the past 2 years or like it's been 4 or 5 years. That stuff is cool, because at some point you've had an encounter with those people. So giving your time back is, I think, important.
You're going to play in the Winter Classic. You are by far the most experienced outdoor hockey player.
I got to be up there.
I know Stoney would have some experience.
Stoney would for sure.
Brett would have some experience.
Yep.
But given what I know about you, that Tim and Don, that you had the rink in the backyard,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then you had your community center down the road.
Yeah, I mean, often than not, I would sometimes just skate home.
Really?
Yeah, because you know how hard packed
Yeah.
the streets get.
Yeah.
And like back alleys never
They get covered, snow covered.
Yeah, but
and
our-
then packed down.
Yeah, streets like what's it called? The street cleaner, like not a bulldozer, but
Grader.
yeah, grader.
Yeah.
Grader. The grader would come by and it would like chop up most of it, right? But the back alleys would never. And then Valley View was like, so I was Noonan, so Valley View, you could go right across to the back alley, take a quick left, go all the way down the back alley, and you were there. And like sometimes you just like you can glide along.
So you wouldn't even go in the clubhouse?
Yeah, I
at
would.
Valley View to put on your skates? You just skate?
Yeah. Well, sometimes I just grab
Yeah.
my stuff and go home. I don't know how often that was, and obviously I wasn't paying for skate sharpenings, right? So
I was gonna say.
it didn't matter. It didn't matter to me. I'd come home and be like, "Hey, Mom, Dad, I need a skate sharpening," and then you just got it done like 3 days ago, and play the next couple of games with dull skates.
Do you remember playing in the backyard
Oh, yeah.
as a little kid?
Oh yeah.
How old were you?
I was probably two. I don't remember that, but obviously there's pictures and stuff. But we always had we billeted for the Wheat Kings, so we had guys stay with us, and all the guys were awesome. They would come out in the backyard rink with me and pass the puck around, shoot around and stuff, and all that sort of stuff. So it was a lot of great memories on the backyard. My buddies coming over. I forget who was having that was the conversation with you in the room the other day. It's always the best when your house is the place where
Right.
everyone goes.
Yeah.
Because those are the funnest memories where, guys come over after school, they bring their stuff, they're there till whatever, late at night, and then you have dinner with your buddies or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
No, those are the the fun parts of childhood.
So what advice do you have for the guys that haven't played outdoors?
Oh man.
What do you think it'll be like in Seattle?
So
Have you looked at dimensions? Have you?
well, so that's the thing. So my girlfriend's brother goes to UW.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he's up there. So he
There's like 3 degrees of separation with you everywhere.
yeah,
it's crazy.
It seems
Yeah.
that way. Yeah. So so obviously it's covered, right? So if the weather doesn't cooperate, I think what I'm assuming is that might could come into play where
Yeah.
like obviously rain and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't seem like Seattle's too chilly. Maybe like, you know, a light sweater, light coat for Canadians, I guess. Eh?
Yeah.
And you know what? It's going to be, you know, whether it's super cold or you know, lukewarm. I guess it's going to be fun either way. As long as my toes are freezing and my fingertips, you can't really feel them. Then we're perfect.
You'll feel at home.
Yeah, I'll feel right at home. Yeah, and that, you know what? I can't wait to get a puck right off the toe cap. Because it's gonna hurt.
rite
Like,
of passage.
it's gonna hurt like something you've never felt before, right? So, then it's gonna take you back to the days where like you didn't even flinch at those ones. It was the ones coming out your shins, right?
Yeah.
But obviously now
What are you doing raising it?
yeah, now you seem to dive head first in front of them and don't even think twice about it. So,
There's a different sound to outdoor hockey, right?
oh, it's yeah, but like, so if I were to ask you, what's the one sound you remember?
Yeah. It'd be off the boards at the East End Community Center.
Exactly. So mine's like off the crossbar and
Yeah.
not knowing where it is because it's nighttime.
And it's probably might be hitting a car.
It could be hitting anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
And
parked
there-
on the
and
side of
it's
the
like,
street.
It's so funny because when you like, so bad now, but when you'd hit a car, it's just like laughter everywhere, right? But it's like I wasn't old enough to drive. It wasn't my car, right? So like, and now I probably, you know, there was probably definitely a few dents and windows broken and stuff. But yeah, it's just, you know, those sounds and, you know, it's just a different sound with like skates on the outdoor rink, right? Because the ice is crisp. And I don't know. It's just, there's something about it, right? And I haven't been home in so long during the winter times to just like grab my stick and skates and go play. Like I wish there was time during the winter where you could go home and
Would you go to Valley View if you were home?
I would go to Valley View just because that's where like I grew up. That's where I went to elementary school. So I would definitely make a stop there. My spot was always West End. That's where, to me, I thought the best ice was. And I told you that yesterday.
The good
Yeah,
players. Yeah,
they used to flood it quite a bit, and they took pretty good care of it. Not they didn't at Valley View, but for me, Valley View's home, and then just closest to my house, and then West End is where I think a lot of the good pickup games ended up happening.
When you look back, do you remember watching Winter Classics?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So the first one was what? Pitt and
That was the first
Wash.
Winter Classic. Yeah, the first outdoor game was Edmonton, Montreal at Commonwealth.
When was that?
That was the first one. That was a couple of years before the Winter Classic, and
Right.
that was the cold. They just celebrated the second one that Edmonton and Calgary played back at Commonwealth. But that was the first one. It was super cold. They almost canceled the game. And then the Buffalo-Pittsburgh one was in the snow globe.
Right.
Where and it was Sydney scoring on Ryan Miller in the shootout. Colby Armstrong opened the scoring. Love Army that he actually scored in the outdoor game. That was the first Winter Classic at the Buffalo Stadium.
when I first started watching the Road to the Winter Classic. I forget who.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that was when I kind of originally
That was its
started.
big, and now you're part of that.
Now we're part of the TV show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, another full circle moment. I remember, whether it was getting home from school or waking up on, whatever it was Saturday, and getting to watch the newest episode of it. It was always the coolest thing ever. Because that was, for me, that was the first real insight to what the NHL is, or how guys conduct themselves. Whether it's they're in the room having their pregame before they go out for the game, or morning skate, practice, their routines away from the rink. That stuff was always just super cool for me.
Do you remember the Washington one? Washington-Pittsburgh, when Gabby had a little chicken sauce on his face.
I don't remember that specifically.
And Dean Evison dropped a few expletives. Brandon Guy,
Yeah.
Dean Evison.
Yeah.
That was a memorable Road to the Winter Classic.
Yeah, I think they're all cool. I was always amazed by them, just because again, it was never supposed to be. That was never supposed to be my life. So
Yeah.
I was always looking at them like they were I don't know, just basically superheroes or gods kind of deal. That's how I, as a kid, watched it. I was like, wow.
Do you feel like a superhero or a god?
No,
No?
definitely not. No, not even close. Just,
Pretty
just
cool,
a regular dude that
Nat-
plays hockey.
Regular dude, but
Yeah.
National Hockey League, Stanley Cup champion, small town.
Yeah.
You've done it all.
Wow. No, you got to keep winning them.
Yeah.
It
Do
doesn't
you
matter.
feel pressure to win again?
So that's a great question, because I think if you ask every guy on this team, I mean, we've got the confidence to go and do it
Yeah.
again, right? And that I think that's been something that we've always had confidence to win. I think a team that knows what they can do is a dangerous team. And the fact that we've had the same guys come back, the same, obviously missing, a big piece in Smitty, big part of our leadership group, right? So you always acknowledge that losing him is a big, big loss. Mm-hmm. Granted, you got to obviously then keep Barbie, who was part of it as well. So obviously it's tough, and people say it all the time where teams, it's tough to stick together just because of salary cap and the business side of things, right? So very rarely do teams get to stick together like we have. And, that builds over time, right? And just the comfortability and just knowing everyone. And I think everyone who is part of our team and knows kind of what our room is like knows that it's a very, very, very close room. And we joke around. We know when to get to, business and put on the work boots and that sort of stuff. And we know ourselves fairly well. So
it's not really pressure. It's just an expectation that you'll perform well.
Yeah, and that's a part of our game, right? Pressure is always a part of our game, but we've got that confidence within not only ourselves as individuals, but as a team that we know what we need to do to win hockey games. And I think that's a big attribute for a team that sticks together consistently.
I think you've won games this year that you wouldn't have won last year.
100%.
But because of the experience and the confidence.
That, and I think it's because we know ourselves. We know who we are. And I think knowing that we can win games different ways, and that's the part of I've been a part of teams that are growing to get to that level where, if you have to play a run and gun game, but you're a defensively sound team where you like to stick to structure and all that sort of stuff, and you can open it up like that, and that's where teams I think have to grow, is because if you do have to play those games, you can win those games.
Yeah.
And if you do have to win games 1-0 or whatever it is, going to overtime and getting into those nervous situations or those kind of higher pressure situations, that you've got the guys to do it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what good teams are made of, and I think good teams also know what they're capable of.
Take you back to your roots, and I have to tell you, you're my dad's favorite player. I have to reiterate, because every week we talk about three things: the Wheat Kings, we talk about the weather, and we talk about Zach. How's Zach doing?
I'm in one of those three things.
Oh,
really.
Yeah, he is by far just captivated by you. You, in the Winter Classic, take me back to what you would tell 15-year-old you at West End skating around. So you're on the outdoor game, Winter Classic. You get transported back. What would you tell that 15-year-old who's on the outdoor rink in Brandon, Manitoba?
Oh, man.
It's a heck of a journey.
Yeah.
And you end up in the same place, playing hockey outdoors.
Yeah, and you know
Loving
what?
it.
Everyone always, especially, funny enough, and you were at, my cup party as well, but, there were a lot of people there that I grew up with and played on the outdoor rink with and that sort of stuff. And they always asked her, such a wild journey and how'd you do it and all this sort of stuff. And it's you just play hockey. That's it.
Yeah.
When you really boil it down and you look at how did you get here? Yes, work ethic, support systems, mom, dad, coaches, minor hockey coaches, junior coaches, college coaches, all that sort of stuff, agents, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you played the game because you love it. And I think people don't get to this point, and I always say it too, especially when you're talking to, local communities or anything like that. Find something you love and do it because you love it. Mm-hmm. And again, people always say it all the time, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's so important and true, because I've experienced that, where I've jumped from level to level with below zero expectations. And I think that's kind of what helped me get through it, was going into it saying, I have to get a 40-point season, or I have to play X amount of minutes per game in order to get noticed, and then to get this and that and that. I've always played to play with my teammates and win hockey games, have fun.
Easier than being the star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you are the star, that's great. That's a fun position to be in, right? And granted, you do have games where you are that person, right? But at the same time, you play because you love it, and you play because of the relationships with your friends. And I think that's what it really comes down to. That's why our game was created. is because probably a group of friends got together and said, "Hey, this looks fun." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that's realistically why
Totally.
why we all play the game. That's why you come out and skate with us, is because we have fun
And build your confidence.
and builds our confidence because I go top corner every time.
Every time.
It's the best.
Every time you go top corner in a game, I'm like, hey, I'm not as good as that goalie, but that guy led in the same shot.
Exactly.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
If the ice
Apples
is
to apples.
if the ice is as good as West End in Seattle, it'll be good times.
Oh, I'll be flying around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It'll be great. Just listening for that sound on the ice there.
Echo of the crossbar of the boards.
Oh yeah, you got to hit a crossbar at least once. At least once. So going back to that
Yeah.
that high school question, I think it was Carson McMillan.
Oh.
So I'm pretty sure it doesn't say in his profile, but
Because it doesn't say it on your profile either.
no. So it won't say Vincent Massey. I don't think on my
Yeah.
whatever. Let me look at his career.
You really did overachieve having gone to Massey and still made it to the National Hockey League. I give you credit there.
So I think he was Crocus. Oh, me?
Yeah. You overachieved because you could have gone to Crocus and it would have been an easier path for you.
Yeah. I don't. So actually, so Pete Gerlinger was coaching the team.
I love Pete.
Yeah, great man. He, he beat up on us quite a few times. Crocus had a really good team.
Yeah.
They had a really good team when I played, and they beat us quite a bit. You know who else had a good team was who was it? It was either Glenborough or Killarney or Boise Vane.
Clarny with that rink was fun.
Yeah. What, the old one?
The old one. Yeah.
Oh, have you seen their new one?
No, I've not been in the
Their new
one.
one's really nice too.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of those small towns, they're getting obviously hockey wise, they're growing and the rinks are getting better. You know what? One rink I think I haven't been there in a long time, but hasn't changed. I don't think is Elkhorn.
Oh, the square board, the
Yeah,
corners, like
yeah.
their 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we. Oh man. Yeah. I forget who I was talking. Oh, it was on the father's trip.
And we would dress in the
Downstairs.
yes, downstairs, or we would get there was a room upstairs, a little gathering room for bingo or something like that. We would at tournaments we would sometimes get that, and you'd be able to see out onto the ice.
Yeah.
But the 90-degree corners, you couldn't dump it. You couldn't rim a puck in that rink because it would hit the wall and come right back out. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, they had, because at that time they had you remember the Sanham boys?
Yeah.
So they had them, and they would beat every single team. So that's why I remember that rink specifically, is because every time you go in there you lose.
PTSD.
Yeah, and it's so cold, right? And that's that's like
so cold.
That's my definition of like a hometown small town rink.
Yeah.
Is like Elkhorn.
My twin brother is the coach of the Reston High School hockey
Oh,
team
yeah?
right now.
Yeah.
And that
The
rink's still the
Rockets?
same. Yeah.
Reston Rockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still
Trying
the
to
same.
think of other Carberry had a cold one.
Yeah.
I think Foxwarren
Shoal Lake,
had a chilly one. Shoal Lake played AAA there. They had a
You
chilly.
they had a new rink though, right?
Who's that?
Shoal Lake. You played in the new one. I played in the old one where the wind would come in
Oh, yeah, I
and
didn't play
whistle
in
the
that one.
snow inside.
Was it like the tin roof?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the score clock had dots on it with lights, no numbers. And
Just
there were
dots.
60 little bulbs, and that was the seconds.
Really?
Yeah, it was super old.
That's
Minnedosa
awesome.
was another one.
Yeah, Minnedosa. They had a good rink. Theirs was pretty
Yeah.
big.
Downstairs dressing rooms though.
Yep.
And
right.
Neepawa had the upstairs ones.
Did you ever play at why am I?
Wawanesa or anything like that?
Oh yeah, so my uncle actually ran that rink for the longest
Really?
time. Yeah.
See, and again, 2 degrees of separation.
Yeah. While we used to, we would have family Christmas out there. He'd open the rink for the day, and I'd be there we'd open Christmas presents that morning, and then go out there, skate from like 12 to like dinner time.
2 things about that rink. One door in the benches.
Yep.
There
Yeah.
wasn't 2 doors.
Yeah,
it was
that's
just
right.
one door in and out.
Yeah.
And the wall, like one side of the rink was the
Just
big wall,
a wall.
massive.
No
wall.
boards.
Yeah.
No glass. Nothing. So they do have glass there now.
Oh, they do.
They do. Yeah.
Oh.
I remember actually, I either saw a video of it or because a couple of my buddies play for the senior team there.
Oh,
A couple guys that I played with growing
Yeah.
up. So they play for the senior team, and they have glass there now. But I remember that rink very fondly because it was Christmas Day. Always we would skate out there, so that was always a fun one. That one's always. It's funny when you look back on that stuff, right? Because it's like those are the places, the outdoor rinks, the cold, rinks where you're playing as a kid. Those are the ones you remember. It's always cool to look back on.
I didn't intend for this to be a reflection of outdoor rinks in our neighborhood, but that's cool.
I think that's what the Winter Classic brings, though.
It is. Have a great new year. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. This is my first time doing this.
Really?
Yeah.
I like this.
You know what? All the texts I got, it must have got lost in the text
Well,
a
you
little
don't
while ago.
reply.
Must have got lost.
You don't reply. That's
Yeah,
it.
exactly. No, it's on me then.
stuck.
It's on me then.
It's stuck in there.
Maybe I'll be a recurring guest in the future.
Well, I know Donna will listen. I know Tim will listen.
Yeah, Mom and Dad will listen,
And
yeah.
we'll have Western Manitoba, Southwestern Manitoba cornered.
Yeah, hopefully all the rinks we mentioned, hopefully everyone's listening.
I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah.
Just
I will say, though, there is not one bad rink in Manitoba. They're all awesome.
yeah.
Good ice, cold, really like crisp ice, everything. The one thing that I always appreciate about it is how much the people that took care of them appreciated them.
Yes.
And then they saw that. I think that everyone appreciated, those small town rinks, right?
The tractor comes out
Yeah.
with the Zamboni hooked on the back. Like
Exactly.
Real. Have you ever driven
And it
a
break
Zamboni?
down like every
for
one out
sure.
of 5 times, right? And
Hey, thanks, buddy.
yeah, of course.
You got to go do something at some point. What do you do today?
Honestly, we could probably sit here and talk till I got dinner time or whatever. We honestly probably could. We could talk about whatever. But I appreciate your dad. You told me that at the
He
cup
loves
party.
you.
Well, he came by for a picture, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a picture with the cup.
So he went. How he got to really know you was he went to the hospital for some checkups, and your aunt was his
Right.
nurse. And
Yes.
they got talking. Like my nephew plays for the Vegas Golden Knights. Well, my son works for the Golden Knights, and they connected. And,
Yeah.
and he's been like your number one fan ever since.
So what's actually funny about that is my auntie gets a lot of people in there, and cause she watches the games. I don't know if I should be. Well, hopefully the Brandon Hospital doesn't listen to the chirp. I guess she watches on her phone. So she.
Oh, good. Well, it's in between patients. It's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And it's a hockey community.
Yeah, and
They'd be fine
so
with
she
it.
watches. She'll text me. I'll be like, hey, you watching the game tonight? She's like, yeah, I'll be watching on my phone. It was her birthday the other day, so I was texting her, and she's like, yeah, I'll be watching the game at work tonight on my phone. And she's the best. She's awesome. She's one of the ones. Grandma, mom, and auntie. They were the ones that ran me to hockey and all that stuff. So
They were part of the group.
yeah, they were. Yeah, they're.
Now, would she honk when she picked you up, or would she come in and get you?
No, see, I had a bad habit of. So I didn't have a phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say Sticks and Pucks was at, let's say 3, and it was done at 4:30. So I would, and then the Zamboni driver, whoever was working, would always be nice and generous and let us stay on until like 5. Auntie would be waiting out there, and she'd have to, come in. You see her standing at the glass or something, right? And you get that look. You're like, hey, it's
Guys, I gotta go.
yeah, it's 30 minutes.
Yeah.
30 minutes past. So they were always, they're the best.
What a community.
Thankful for them and their time. It's when you talk about people that helped you growing up, those are 3 people, and obviously including my dad and everyone that ran me around. But it takes time out of their lives,
Yeah.
right? And I think obviously now it's cool to be able to look back and their hard work turned into me being able to work hard and achieve what I want. So they're a big part of that. Yeah.
Now you're playing in a Winter Classic.
Yeah. So that'll be.
How many people are going to come?
I used up all my tickets.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I got them all used and I got a lot of people coming. My billet family's from
Oh, they're
Burton.
amazing.
Yeah, and the family I worked for, they're coming. Mom, dad, and then some of Maddie's family. Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
Maddie like going back home, or does she? Because she's from here, from Vegas.
Yep.
She goes back home, and you're just introducing her like one person after another. I played with him at 13. I played
Yeah.
with him at 15.
Yeah, so it was a whirlwind, obviously, for the cup party. She was meeting everyone, right? So, which is obviously cool for her. I'm sure she heard a lot of stories about me growing up that probably aren't so good, right? Just being a troublemaker and outdoor rinks and all that stuff and whatever. But yeah, I mean, obviously, as you know, that cup party was.
Did she know that you were a 7-Eleven guy?
She does now, I guess.
Before that?
Yeah, but I told, who did I tell the other day? Or no. Oh, it was a man last night. So I did the signing. You know how Kim gets guys to
Yeah.
sign after the games?
Yeah.
So it was my turn last night, and I took a little longer. So I'm, if people are listening, thank you for waiting around. Took a little longer than I wanted to, but I got up there, and there was a guy that came by and said, he said something about a Slurpee, and I said, "Have you ever had a Canadian Slurpee?" And he said, "No." He's like, "I've been to Vancouver, but I haven't had a Canadian Slurpee." I'm like, "You go get one, and then you let me know if you remember. You let me know what that experience is like."
Different.
It's different. It's just it is different. It's way better. That's not to knock U.S.
But in the
Slurpees,
middle of January, we're still having Slurpees.
I would have a Slurpee
Brandon.
any day of the week.
Yeah.
Any day of the week if it's from Canada.
34-7, shout out to them.
Exactly.
Go get ready for tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Sweet.
Thanks to Zach. That was fun. It was interesting, too, from my point of view, just to let you behind the curtain here. I probably know more about Zach or knew more about Zach going into that discussion than I have anybody else. And not just him personally, but the background, growing up in Brandon and knowing the path and the minor hockey system and all the different rinks in and around Brandon and where his steps were taken from minor hockey to Junior A in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. And then what I followed him as a hockey commentator to Bemidji, and then obviously covering him and knowing him on a daily basis with the Vegas Golden Knights. So what really strikes me is, as much as I'm intricately involved on the day-to-day of Zach Whitecloud and aware of everything, it still was what I consider the greatest accomplishment was a conversation. It wasn't an interview. It was just a conversation with Zach. And one thing that stands out to me, I was leaving the rink after recording that, was the sounds of an outdoor rink. And really, unless you've been there, it's just so unique that it's really difficult to explain. But on an outdoor rink, it's dark out, you're late at night, it's cold, there's nobody else around, and it's the sounds, or lack of sounds, if you want to phrase it that way. Your skates on the ice and the echo because you're outdoors, the puck off the boards, the echo of that, and then there's that crossbar. And he's right, the sound of the crossbar, it's really cool in a pregame warm-up in the National Hockey League or whatever level you're playing in, but when you're by yourself on an outdoor rink and you hit that crossbar and you're looking up and it just dings. It also took me back to a time at the old East End Community Center, still there, just down the street from where I grew up. And in our teenage years, we would get all the guys together and we would go out and we would have a tour like Zach did in and around town, but we would end up at the East End Community Center because they had great ice. And my twin brother Derek took a shot. It hit the crossbar, and my best buddy Ryan Johnson parked his car on the street, but it was right behind the net. He never thought of this because there was other cars there, and he just found a spot. But Derek took the shot, hit the crossbar, and it went up and out of play. Little did we know that puck landed right on the sunroof of Ryan's very beautiful Honda Prelude and smashed that sunroof. So just like in minor ball, when you're out there and the kids, you never park your car anywhere near there might be a foul ball or a home run ball because you don't want your car to get hit by that baseball. Same thing on the outdoor rink. You always make sure it's not anywhere close to being behind the net. But thanks to Zach, that was really cool. So on to our reflections, and good luck in the Winter Classic that's coming up on January 1st. Reflections. Promised that at the start of this episode. Wanted to go into something a little more positive, but how do you do that and still make it somewhat unique? Well, we divided it into three categories, and Bob did a great job of giving me this assignment. And the three categories are simple. Those that have answered expectations, that's a big challenge, and I consider it the most difficult thing to do in the National Hockey League, and it's worth more than being ahead of schedule, and it carries more significance with me than just being a surprise team in the National Hockey League. And some of these teams you can put into 2 or 3 categories, but I tried to make sure that they had their own spot. So answering expectations, we're looking for a certain performance out of these clubs. Who's been able to do it? Well, the LA Kings are a team that belong in the upper echelon, and they had that trip down to Australia, came back, and they've been really consistent, and what a defensive system by Todd McClellan. The LA Kings, challenging in the Pacific Division, they have answered expectations. On the different side, Detroit, part of that group with Buffalo and Ottawa, trying to take the next step and challenge for a playoff spot. Detroit answered expectations with growth and development within the organization, ended up signing Patrick Kane, so have furthered their expectations to actually follow through and make the playoffs, and we'll see if they can. But to start the first half, really good job by Detroit being able to take that next step. It's even more impressive when you consider the struggles that Ottawa and Buffalo have gone through. Florida, injuries were going to hold them back off a surprise appearance in the Stanley Cup final. But they've been able to get off to the start to this season that we expected last year. They have answered expectations through some challenges with guys missing from the lineup. And then there's the Vegas Golden Knights, defending champions, coming back, and the most wins to start the season by a Stanley Cup champion, and have gone wire to wire in the Pacific Division. The Vegas Golden Knights have answered those expectations put on by themselves to try to repeat and not just be a one-off. They want to be the team of the century. That's Bruce Cassidy's goal. Those are his words. Want to be the team of the century. Here's the teams that are ahead of schedule. Vancouver, top tier at both ends. Didn't expect them to be this good, challenging for the Pacific Division against the Stanley Cup champions, but they're right there because of structure from Rick Tocchet, one of my favorite coaches. This is the most talented team he's had in the National Hockey League, and he's been able to really put his stamp on that, making players accountable, and I think that's been a big part of Vancouver's success. Arizona, they made additions, and those additions have influenced. I want to see a playoff game at Mullet Arena. Arizona has put themselves ahead of schedule. And Nashville, this one may be a bit of a outlier for you, but they made changes at general manager, at coach, and a lot of players. And when you do all of that, it's usually with a team that is going to take a step back or rebuild. But they're really competitive for a club that had that change from the long-standing tradition of what they were able to do in management. Barry Trotz takes over there. I know that he's got some familiarity with the organization, but he changes the coach and really put a stamp on with that lineup, and really, really impressive what they've been able to do under Barry Trotz. And then there's the flat-out surprises. Winnipeg's in this group. You're wondering, where's Winnipeg in all this? They've had a great first half. They're under surprise because they're a team that changed their dressing room this past year. Blake Wheeler bought out, and then they signed the contracts right before the start of the season with Kevin Cheveldayoff inking Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele to the long deals. In between, they made a couple of significant trades and massaged their lineup, and I didn't know what to expect from them, to be quite honest. Was it going to go with the disruptions and all the changes that they made? Were they going to be able to find the rhythm? Or were they going to be able to take advantage of the new players in their lineup? And they've done exactly that, and Hellebuck and Scheifele have been great. And I know Kyle Connor's injured, but Winnipeg's been a surprise because I didn't know really what to expect. Philadelphia, great start. The key word here, though, is they were using the term rebuilding last spring, when Keith Jones and Danny Briere come in, and instead they're challenging for a playoff spot. I don't know whether there's enough left. I feel like they're redlining right now. They got a couple of great players back in the lineup. Do they have enough there to raise the level to their game to keep pace in the back half of the season? Regardless, a great story with John Tortorella. Really happy for everybody involved in that organization. Should be noted, though, Chuck Fletcher. A lot of this was left behind by Chuck, at least from the roster point of view and the roster compilation. We shouldn't lose sight of that. But what John Tortorella has been able to do with that team and put them in a spot. And finally, the Boston Bruins. A year ago, they were trying to get through injuries to start the season. They overcame that. This time around, it's a couple of players, key players, retiring, and they've been able to go. David Krejci is a big loss. Patrice Bergeron's a Hall of Famer. And Boston is right back there. I don't know how they've done it. I know their structure. They're not scoring as much as they did last year, but the goaltenders have been great. They've got some incredible structure there. Jim Montgomery's done a wonderful job, but I thought they were going to take a step back last year. They didn't. Set the record for the best regular season in the National Hockey League. This time around, thought they'd take a big step backward. Who are going to be their centers? Their top 4 centers this year. They can't possibly do it again, can they? And they've done exactly that. Not the same pace, but equally or maybe even more impressive than the big surprise a year ago. So that's some fun. The glass half full at the holiday time of the year. I want to thank Bob. All the best, Bob, for everything that you do. And, of course, you for listening. Send me your comments. Like this podcast. Please share it. And let us know what you think. What was your favorite sound, or what is your favorite sound of being an outdoor rink? Or what do you take away from Zach Whitecloud and his passion for the game? Manitoba high school hockey player to the National Hockey League and a Stanley Cup champion. Really impressive. Graham Garden, by the way, was the name that I mentioned inside that interview. Graham and I grew up playing in Brandon in the minor hockey scene there, and saw him at Zach Whitecloud's Stanley Cup day, and that was a cool experience, and I wanted to get his name. I thought he coached him in high school, but it was as a youngster. So fun episode, a really memorable episode, one that I've wanted to do for a long time with Zach, and it's perfect with the Vegas Golden Knights being in the Winter Classic in Seattle. Moving it forward, and we'll talk to you again next time on the Chirp Podcast with Darren Millard.